What's up, y'all? This is Daniel with Pride of the Southland Kennels. We're going to start off 2024. We're going to take the opportunity to kind of do a reintroduction to the channel. I haven't been too consistent on uploading content and haven't been very much motivated at times. But I wanted to take this time to let everyone know, all the new subscribers, who we are and some of the beliefs and opinions that we have of the Bulldogs. So first off, we're an 8-acre property, and we want to utilize Bulldogs on our farm with our animals. We have some goats, we got some separated, we got some over here, we got chickens, and we'll raise hogs from time to time. That's where the old hog pen was at. Now, the reason these dogs ain't directly in contact with these animals right now is we got some young goats being born, as you can see. And this right here is a new area, so we decided to separate the dogs for a bit. Now, Nealon, he is our original dog, the one in the back there going up the hill. He's going on 8 years old, and this is a granddaughter of his in front of him, Laurel. These are American Bulldogs. So I want to kind of take that time to discuss our beliefs on the American Bulldog. When it comes to American Bulldogs, you'll hear, well, first of all, you'll notice that my dogs have a lot of color in them. When it comes to American Bulldogs, if you start doing research, you'll start hearing the term Old Southern White and White English Bulldog. So I wanted to make a real quick to the point video of our beliefs on that. We believe that the American Bulldog does not have to be 100% white or 75% white. A lot of people will say that. And let me back up before I go any further. Laurel here to the left, we did attempt to do a breeding with her, a cross between a Staffordshire Bull Terrier and her, because we like the smaller type dogs. It was unsuccessful. Laurel, come down here. You can see this is 9 weeks from the breeding. She's not pregnant. So I say that because I don't want people coming back later on if we decide, and I think my next breeding decision is going to be them two, between Nealon and Laurel, like I had originally planned. And I don't want people saying those are crossed. So I haven't crossed anything. I did attempt it, but I was unsuccessful. So we're going to move on down the road and we'll reevaluate that as the time comes. So anyways, back to what I was saying. When we talk about the American Bulldog, anybody that's new to the breed or been around the breed that wants to do some research, when you do it, you're going to hear the term Old Southern White, and you're going to hear the term, eventually, you're going to hear the term White English Bulldog. Now, we believe the American Bulldog does not have to be 75% white because of the cross of Mac the Masher back in the 70s was a brindled dog with a white head. Now, there's all other types of different strains and stuff of American or Bulldogs in the South that we're not going to really get in depth with them today. So we're going to be focused on the American Bulldog, the Old Southern White, and the White English Bulldog, and what the difference is. I would say back 30, 40 years ago, there would have been some people that had American Bulldogs back then that maybe could have continued calling their dogs White English Bulldogs, and there was people that did that. Lemuel Miller being one of them. I'm gonna take a walk. And that was confusing to me for a long time. I didn't understand, well, you know, because a lot of the older people that's been around these dogs for a long time will say, well, it's the same thing as the White English. But then you go over to the White English people and they don't know, they don't fly with them. So this is the way that I understand it. And I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just going to say this is the opinion that I've formed over talking to people and doing research from all three different perspectives. And when I say all three different perspectives, I mean the American Bulldog, the White English, and the Old Southern White. So the American Bulldog is a successor. It comes after the White English Bulldog. So the American Bulldog can trace its roots back to the White English dogs. But the White English dogs, the true White English dogs, didn't have any of the blood of the modern day. When I say modern day, I'm talking 50 years ago. They didn't have the same blood, so there was white English dogs that didn't have any Scott or Johnson or Bailey or Williamson or anything like that. So all these men that you hear about in American Bulldogs, Hines, Scott, Bailey, Painter, all that, those ain't white English dogs. They can probably trace their roots back to white English, but something was added to the white English dogs to make the American Bulldog, and that's where a lot of people have controversy. Okay, the way I understand it, and the way that I believe that's been easy for me to differentiate these dogs and these breeds and these strains, is almost like it's as if the old Southern White is the gap between the white English Bulldog and the American Bulldog. Not every American Bulldog that's white can be called an old Southern White. Not every old Southern White could be called a white English Bulldog. Not every American Bulldog that's white can be called a white English Bulldog. So that's the way that I've kind of learned, and in my head, learned to separate them. Now, the white English Bulldog was more of a farm guardian type dog. Would do a little bit of hunting and catching from what I'm gathering and what I'm getting this stuff. I'm not forming these opinions on my own. I'm getting this information from people and I'm passing it forward. So when I say something, that's what I'm talking about. So the white English Bulldog was more of a farm type guardian dog, a little lower prey drive than the old Southern White and the American Bulldog, but it would still do that work. Now that's kind of the temperament that we're really looking for. However, those dogs don't really exist, in my opinion, anymore. I haven't been able to find them. And the people that do have them, or the websites and the information that's out there that points to a certain group of people, I haven't had any luck with them. And that's as far as I'll go with that. I don't think they have what they have and they want to keep it pure. So there's really like a handful of those dogs left. True. Now, they have the right to call their dogs pure and true, I guess you could say. I don't know about pure, but true. They're right at the heart of it, where it all started, in and around Hawkinsville, Georgia. So that's what I gathered from them. Now, the old Southern White was crossed with other dogs with like phenotypes. This is the start of the American Bulldog, if you ask me. There were some white dogs, there were some brindle dogs, there were some black dogs. Those are the old Southern Whites. And yeah, I know they're called old Southern Whites, but there's old Southern White dogs that had a lot of color in them too. Now, a lot of them were white. Now, this is where the misconception that the American Bulldog has to be 75% white comes from, if you ask me. The white English and the beginning of the old Southern White. Just my opinion on that. And then you have the American Bulldog. Well, let's go back. The old Southern White, if I didn't mention, I believe it was more of, it can't be around animals. It might be in a fence near an animal and protect it in that form. But as far as it being in direct contact and living with it, I don't think it would have settled too well, because the prey drive was a little bit higher. Then we go over to the American Bulldog, which is what we have here. And they are more of a stock dog and a catch dog. And I'm sorry about this footage. They're more of a catch dog, a stock dog that can work larger stock and unruly stock. And they've become a personal protection dog with people. So that's the kind of the key differences. They all overlap a little bit in some ways or another. But as far as differentiating them, that's how I've decided to do it. Going back to the white English, so the original Bulldog, anything we read about is talking about a medium-sized dog, or what I would consider a medium-sized dog, in or around 50 pounds, 45 pounds, give or take. With the white English, you have two different types. You had the Mastiff type, which everybody thinks that the Mastiff type was huge, and I always thought that too, until I started doing a little bit more digging and researching. The Mastiff type of the white English is the larger of the two. So you have, and them dogs are between 50 and 95 pounds. 95 pounds is a good sized dog, but it's still not the 150 or even maybe close to 200 pound dog that we think about when we hear about the Mastiff. And the white English Bulldog, The Bulldog version is a smaller version, but the more drivey version of the two, but still less drivey, I imagine, than the Old Southern White and the American Bulldog. In fact, when I was looking for a White English Bulldog to potentially add to my program, because that's the temperament I'm looking for, so I talked to a man and ended up being someone that had been around these dogs for a really long time, and he told me, I told him what I was doing and what I was looking for, and he said, there's a bunch of frauds out there. He said, when you're looking for the White English, the true White English, he said, you go to them people's houses, this is how you find them. You go to the people's houses, you see what them dogs are doing. He said, and then you ask them, you ever catch hogs with them dogs? He said, if they tell you yes, it ain't a White English. A lot of people's going to disagree with that, but these are the people that is in the heart of the White English Bulldog country from the beginning until the end, it seems. Seems like those dogs are no longer around, but that's what he told me, and that's when it started clicking, and why I came to the conclusion of how to distinguish the difference in the White English, whether it be Bulldog or Mastiff, the Old Southern White, and the American Bulldog. It's more than color; it's a lot with how they act and on their temperament. I hope y'all join along the journey of 2024. We're going to kind of be going back through some things. We do have a planned breeding in a few more months between Nealon and Laurel here. American Bulldog to American Bulldog. And then we'll see where we need to go on our outcross. I'm not going to have a whole lot of dogs out here. We want to raise them in the environment that we believe that they're best suited for. These working farm bulldogs, and outside of a kennel and more inside of a fence is, to me, the way to go. But this is Daniel with Pride of the Southland Kennels. Until next time, thank you all for watching.